We're talking about the alleged plot to assassinate key role players in the SENZO MEYIWA trial. And I'm joined by my guest in studio, Mbekezeli Benjamin from Judges Matter. And on our Zoom link, we're joined by the president of the National Association of Democratic Lawyers, that's Machini Mutlung, as well as Chad Thomas from IRS Forensic Investigations. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
You know, ever since the Malanga Commission and the Ad Hoc Committee, and we found out about Kelvin Rafadi. Yeah, forensic dun crime dun, and yeah, these people that are always up in the media with commentary. No. I'm not talking about YouTube channels, okay? YouTube channels, it's free reign. I'm talking about those who are called by mainstream media and elevated to a position of authority. And by authority, I mean what they say matters. But you know what? I'm being petty, okay? We did have Mbekezeli Benjamin, and we've heard from him here and there. And then we have Dr. Nandipha Makotumana's lawyer. I don't know if that matters or not because they've lost every case so far with regards to Nandipha Makotumana, but we are neither here or there. Listen, I went back, okay? I swallowed my pride because this is what happens when you have time. You have time to go back to the channel with the ginormous logo in the middle of the screen. They had a poll. And I said to myself, you know what? Let me run a parallel poll. Because you see, one thing about YouTube streets is everything is transparent. Well, if you're mainstream media, I'm not saying that's the case. But listen, they do have a logo designing department. They do have a graphic designer who makes the terrible decision of putting a logo in the middle of the screen. But that's not my business, okay? That's none of my business. If you don't already know, I can't stand that logo. But we continue, okay? We move on. So I went ahead and watched, and they had this poll. Let me read the poll to you, and let me read their results. And guess what? I ran a parallel poll on my channel. What a difference. Anyway, let's get into it. So their poll says allegations of a plot to assassinate key MEYIWA role players. Have your say. First option is must be taken seriously. Second option, don't believe them. And the third option is the trial should end now. Guess what results they came up with? Let me share those. I have to tell you, when I did this, mimicked this exact poll on my end, I kind of knew the results would be skewed. I knew the results would be different. But let's go over their results. Allegations of a plot to assassinate key MEYIWA role players. Have your say. 74% of mainstream media viewers said those allegations must be taken seriously. 15% said don't believe them, and 11% said just end that trial. Okay, just throw in the trial ended, because in my opinion, it's not even the SENZO MEYIWA trial anymore. It is the did Brigadier Bongani Nicholas Gininda forge a signature? Did Gwabeni become a Section 204 witness? It's everything but SENZO MEYIWA, Kelly Khumalo, Zandi Khumalo, and the rest. But let's see what Mzansi Unfiltered's poll reveals. Finally, let's talk about the allegations of a plot to end key MEYIWA role players. Gabadia, Maloi, Mahola, and my lord. What do you think about this? Feel free to comment your thoughts below. 13% said it must be taken seriously. Sharp contrast to what was on the other channel, new mainstream media channel, that is. And then 87% said, and easy, okay, no. They said, I don't believe them. The trial should end now. Okay? 87% said we're not buying it. Okay? We are not buying it. It's just way too cheap. It's too convenient that all of a sudden, while the state is on their struggle bus. Why were you guys laughing at me attempting to turn the bus on? But anyway, the struggle bus. In the middle of a struggle bus where the defense is winning. And then Mnisi and the accused are implicated, and friends of Gwavini, who is telling us a whole version that we didn't even know about, where the state suddenly tells us he's a Section 204 witness. But anyway, that's Mzansi Unfiltered's poll. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below if you didn't get a chance to vote on either polls. But guess what? Let's get back and listen to the experts and hear what they have to say. Here goes.
Yeah, we can start next year if you want to. If I'm still alive. Yeah, I mean.
Yes, it's 19 January.
Yeah. You remember Mr. Nisi once said when we were trying to arrange for the trial
inspection
in road crew. Remember? And then Gininda kept on saying, no, you know what? We need to get the police organized. We must get armored cars and blah, blah.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And he said, no, man, why can't we just go out and then have the inspection in local? South Africa is not a banana republic. You remember?
Yes.
Now I can tell him South Africa is a banana republic. They want to kill a judge. They want to kill a sitting judge. You know, even in America, you know how America is violent. They have never killed a judge. In South Africa, the last judge they killed was Justice Cooper. Have you heard about it?
These latest threats are quite serious. They're quite worrying. We should never have a situation where judges, magistrates, all presiding officers are threatened for any reason. And the fact that the police in this instance were able to pick up the intelligence and step in before that eventuality happened, I think that they deserve the credit. But Linda, unfortunately, it's not an isolated thing. We're seeing concerns about court security across the board. I mean, just a few days ago, we heard that there was a shooting outside of the court precinct in Athlone in Cape Town, but we know that in October there was an incident at the Esikhaweni Magistrates Court in northern KZN, and at the same time there was a new security protocol that was introduced in the Johannesburg High Court to try and beef up the security in the court. So it is a concern that we are having so many concerns around security.
Yeah.
Hold on, not so fast. Mr. Benjamin, not so fast. You mentioned security of the judges, the magistrates, the prosecutors. You mentioned everybody. And then you give examples of witnesses being taken out. Obviously, maybe this recording was done before the taking out of witness D in the Madlanga Commission. But in your speech, you left out that witnesses also need to feel secure inside Parati within that courtroom. They must never feel threatened. And then I am asking myself, well, when Gwabini said, yeah, she made me tea, this one right behind me, why is Mahola always in the courtroom? I just feel she has some intimidation done to, because nobody ever says, yeah, and then Kininda is inside the courtroom. Have you ever noticed that? It's always Mahola in the courtroom. The question is, why? Why is she always there? And why was she making tea in the first place? But anyway, let's continue listening to the legal experts, because, we're just a YouTube channel. I don't want to mimic or to mislead you. I want us to listen to the experts and hear what they say. Any omissions, I'll gladly jump in. Here goes.
And I mean, if people are unhappy, talk to us about some of, the channels that they can go through. I mean, we know that if anybody's unhappy with a presiding officer, they can bring a recusal application.
Well, first and foremost, Linda, I think we don't know at this stage if these people were unhappy with the particular judge. And so that's why they threatened to eliminate them, because we know that as Judges Matter, we've done research, speaking to magistrates, where in our research report we published in 2022, out of a survey of more than 230 magistrates, we found that at least it was about 30-something% of them had responded to say that they've been threatened or harmed in relation to their role as judicial officers. And the purpose of those threats were to try and either make the case go away or to, once you remove the presiding officer, the likelihood of the case being enrolled again was slim. And so it did seem that at least in that context, the threats were trying to disrupt the case. But if you are disgruntled for any reason with how the judicial officer is presiding, there is a legal process that is there, and it's the process of recusal. But even there, you have to really conform with the law. It has to be substantiated. It has to either be a perception, a credible and reasonable perception of bias, or actual bias against the judicial officer, and it has to follow a legal process. Any sort of threat or harm, I think, is an attack on the rule of law, because at the end, presiding officers must preside without fear, favor, or prejudice. Fear is the most important thing.
Yeah. And actually, in my first question, those are the words I was looking for.
Share the sentiments. If those allegations were to be proved to be accurate and to be right, that actually goes to the heart of charges of defeating the ends of justice, among others. But of course, these are mere allegations at the moment. But if they are, as I reiterate, if they are to be proved to be true, that goes into deeper than meets the eye. It goes into the heart of this case, and it will also mean that legal practitioners who are deemed and who are expected to be holding the highest standard of ethics, they would, and they are officers of the court. That would have serious ramifications and implications on the matter itself.
Want to come across as being petty. But hey, that is Nandi Pamagotumana's lawyer. What did he just say? I was expecting, you know what? Let's just move on. Let's just move on, because you know what? I don't wanna be too petty, because he just seemed to string a bunch of words together. And this is a lawyer. Do you know what lawyers' jobs are? Are to talk and convince us. Like, their job is to have arguments. Where have you ever heard that? People being paid to have arguments. That's what lawyers' jobs are. I didn't hear what he said. But if you did, sure, please go ahead and summarize it for me in the comment section down below. He's highly paid. Highly paid. I realized the expertise just in that little blurb. Anyway, let's continue listening on.
Yeah, this whole debacle affected Advocate Mnisi, and he wanted to, be excused from the matter pending, of course, these investigations. He said he would wait until there is a final report to come back. Obviously, his well-being is important because he needs to be fit and proper, if I may put it that way, to carry out the instructions of the accused person. But ordinarily, is that how things would be done?
Look, allegations have been leveled. And the veracity of and accuracy of those allegations are yet to be tested. And we should, whilst on the one hand, we are cautious in terms of how we approach these allegations, but on the other, need to be careful not to be seen to be putting the cart before the horse, and be preemptive to an extent that any attempts to come up with ways of not proceeding with the matter, any excuse not to proceed with the matter, we should be mindful of the fact that this matter comes a long way, and the matter has to be concluded within a reasonable period of time when it has been enrolled and it's already running. It's a partly had matter. So such an action that is being proposed by legal practitioners should not necessarily be resorted to easily. It should be based on valid grounds to justify the matter being brought to a halt pending the finalization of investigations into these allegations.
Bringing up Nandi Pamagotumana, but hey, if the shoe fits, Mr. Machini, lawyer to Nandi Pamagotumana, or should I say legal representative to Nandi Pamagotumana, is talking about Mnisi Wemvula cannot be talking about mental health and slowing down the case and adjourning the case, which will halt the proceedings, especially in such a high-profile case that has been ongoing for Sir! Nandi Pamagotumana trial has been adjourned multiple times due to your client and accused number 7, Tabo Best. What was it? Extradition disguised as a deportation. Do you remember that case you did? You know what? Let me mind my business. Yeah, that's his opinion on Mnisi Wemvula. To say I'm disappointed, I thought we were going to get some meat from him. I don't know why. But anyway, let's continue listening on.
How often do you come across cases where accused persons are alleged to be plotting, against certain individuals involved in their prosecution?
Very good afternoon to all, and thank you for the invitation to join the panel. When it comes to an accused person, there could be an element of bravado where within the confines of the prison environment, they speak big and they speak to others as if they have connections on the outside that are going to take part in some or other activity that will bring their case to some kind of fruition without following the normal channels. And you'll often hear where witnesses have been threatened from inside prison, where investigating officers have also been threatened from inside prison. Going to the extent of planning an assassination of a judge takes it to a whole new level. But then again, we have to realize we're living in South Africa, which is a very violent society. We had a witness from the Madlanga Commission assassinated on Friday night. So assassinations aren't very far out of reach when it comes to what criminals have the ability to control. One looks at the prosecutors that were assassinated earlier this year in the Eastern Cape. One looks at the bomb explosion outside the Wynberg Madge Court a few years ago, the shooting of a witness outside the Athlone Court earlier this week. And one understands that it's very easy to hire trigger men out there. And it's good that the state is taking it seriously now, because what could have been perceived as just bravado and jail talk in the past can now be perceived as a very viable threat. And it's good to see SAPS taking action. And one must remember this is intelligence driven, and we need more of this type of work.
We're also hearing that gadgets have been seized, and surely those can help in really determining whether or not there is, in fact, a plot.
Definitely, and it's time for the state to be a little bit more transparent with us. We do understand it's an investigation and it is at a sensitive stage, but we want to find out whether it was somebody that was perhaps within the prison environment that informed on a plan, or whether it was something that was actually actionable, whereas people had been paid, a plan was in place, and that an assassination was going to take place. There's a big difference between talking big and actually having the capacity to follow through.
This is accused number 5. He did an interview. It's in the Netflix documentary. Remember, I said I'm going to renew my Netflix subscription for the month of December because we're in recess now. I'm going to get that clip because I cannot find it on these YouTube streets, but I would have played it for you here. Accused number 5 has just been sentenced, I would think, in his 5 life sentences situationship for the political killings, way before we even knew about the political killing task force and Dontoni situations. He, accused number 5, is having an interview with Silindelo Masirane, okay? And he says, and I quote, on video, okay? It's not hearsay. I'm not thumb-sucking to say, man, Gomezule has so many phrases. I'm not thumb-sucking to say he said. It's on video. And he says, and I quote, okay, fine, he says it in Zulu, okay? But he says, I'm going to paraphrase, he says, I'm telling you now, December is not going to end and all these people will still be alive. That was a direct threat. He even said, I swear on my mother. And I'm paraphrasing. But that was the threat that he said. Clearly, it's been a couple of years since he's been arrested for the SENZO MEYIWA trial. And at the end of that interview, he says, just let me go, please. I'm done with this interview. I just want to go back home. Okay? And that was before he was a resident of Kgosimampuru. Now, I bring this up to say, I agree, okay? Mr. Thomas, I agree with him. He says from IRS Forensic Dun. So he literally says that there is a huge difference between talking big. So, amongst yourselves as prisoners that, yeah, I'm going to pew pew. I can't believe Baloyi did that. Da, 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 da. Those kind of conversations, amongst your colleagues, friends, fellow, inmates. I almost said lockmates, but that's not a word. Inmates. And then he says, with the capacity to follow through. And I use accused number 5 as an example because he made that threat a good many years ago. We haven't heard or seen anything in terms of by the end of December. He didn't say which December. But basically, I'm just using that as a point, like those were big talks, okay, big shoot talks. But the reality is he's arrested and inside Pagati within for life. Yeah, but let's continue listening on. I think of the 3, Benjamin Mbekezeli and Nandipa Makudimana's lawyer, Mr. Thomas actually makes a better point. He brings some points home that we can focus on. So let's continue listening on and see what else we can pick up.
But in other circumstances, what would the judiciary do to protect judges?
So on a normal basis, when there's a security risk like this, there will be a threat assessment that is done by the police, and this is also done in conjunction with the Office of the Chief Justice in relation to the High Courts. And so if there is an assessment done and the judge needs protection, there are protection provided. We saw this in the Ratha and Krecha case, for example, where the judge was provided with security both in the court and to and from home. But I think, Linda, there is a bigger question about to what extent is the state providing court security generally? I mean, in the last couple of years, there have been cuts that have been made to the security budget. We know that in certain of the high courts, the outsourced security services have been reduced to the point where in one high court, I know, almost overnight, the security guards were reduced and certain of the entrances were not provided with that security. And so I think there is, other than just an isolated case, there does need to be a serious looking at the security environment in the courts, both by the Office of the Chief Justice, which is for the Superior Court, and the Department of Justice for the lower courts.
Speaking of security, Chad, I want to come back to you. I mean, when you look at what we're being told in this case, they say there is an integrated plan, but what would that look like? Because we know that a number of people, not just the judge, but prosecutors as well, and the investigating team are people that are perhaps being targeted. So a proper plan really to address these issues. When recess, people are going home to different places. How would it work?
So it's a two-pronged approach. The most important is to have actionable intelligence so that you can try, disrupt, dismantle, and make arrest or neutralize the threat that's been made to the individuals. But of course, other people can pick up where those have left off. So you have to have close protection in place. And this is something where you have very well-trained people from the South African Police Force, specifically the Special Task Force, from the South African Defence Force. They've got a component within the military police. Even the State Security Agency has a witness protection and security division. Together with the NPA, these organs work together with a component within Hawks to be able to put together a team, identify safe houses, bulletproof vehicles, bulletproof clothing if necessary, and the right trained people. But that's when there's a high risk that's being faced. Obviously, going into the actual theory of close protection and how to plan routes, etc., is a very long conversation. But the most important thing is intelligence. And when you get intelligence of a threat, you protect the individual that is at threat, but you go out to neutralize the threat to that individual. And that's why intelligence is so critical in the South African Police Service.
Machini, this particular matter is, like Atlanta Matese, at a critical stage, right? The accused, you have opened their case, they're calling their own witnesses, and we often see how volatile, for lack of a better term, the atmosphere can be in that particular court. How important is it for all parties to just, work together in harmony?
Look, that is quite important in a proper, administration of justice setup. It's quite crucial that all the stakeholders and role players within the justice cluster. In this instance, you have the prosecutors, you have the defense, you have also the presiding officer. It's quite important that there has to be that rapport and working together, particularly when they are facing this conundrum. And they need to work in unison to ensure that they discharge their duties as officers of the court without fear, favor, or prejudice, and to do so within the parameters of the law, of course. And whilst on the other hand, each of the role players they play their own unique roles, and the role of the defense in this instance is to ensure that they come up with a defense that seeks to act in the best interest of their clients. So it's quite crucial, Linda, that all the role players within this matter work together to ensure that this matter is finalized expeditiously without any unreasonable delays.
And Mbekezeli, we've run out of time, but I just quickly want to come to you. A judge is not merely an empire, and these are the words that Judge Ratha likes uttering in court. How important is it for the presiding officer to ensure that they control the proceedings and that we stick to what we've come to do?
So a judge not only has a constitutional but also an ethical obligation to ensure a fair trial. And in doing so, they are required to make sure that the case runs and finishes quickly, there are no unnecessary delays, but also the decorum of the court is maintained, both from all sides, whether it's the accused, witnesses, the lawyers, prosecutors, defense, everyone has to be on check and everyone has to ensure that it's a proper trial. But at the same time, the judge must control themselves. So they must also try to speak in a respectful way to everyone involved and make sure that everyone's dignity, whether you're the accused, the witness, or anyone in the court, your dignity must be protected.
Now, Mr. Benjamin, now you have my full, undivided attention. What was that you said about dignity? Everyone, witness, the defense, prosecutors, NPA, the judge, everyone's dignity, you said. Now, since you're from Judges Matter, talk to me. What's with the dignity, or should I say lack thereof dignity, that is displayed by this sitting judge? Could it be that lack of dignity or the way he undermines everyone who is non-state? That is the reason for the threat. I'm not saying it's okay to threaten the judge or eliminate him because of how he treats people. I'm just saying, maybe, just maybe, if he gave everyone the same decorum that he demands, we wouldn't be here. I don't know. But, he works for Judges Matter. I would have loved to hear this conversation around dignity. But, hey, it is what it is. That conversation was not brought up. The priority was the security risk in that courtroom. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. But with that, let's continue listening on.
Now, Colonel Host, I'm going to tell you that you are now adapting your evidence And let me read for you paragraph 6 of Exhibit DD5.
In possession of accused number 2. It's a violation of that standing order. Now the state says this witness is not in a position to answer that question, unless the state is insinuating that this witness's IQ is very low.
Accused number 1 was not there. They're busy now. That's why one will be tempted to say they are cooking, they are manufacturing day in, day out, so that it can fit what the state wants to do. Because I can tell this court now, they don't have a case. I'm not
voluminous documents, but if the court can just look at these voluminous documents, and I'll also have to study them and go and consult with Mr. Nure in order to get proper instructions.
I haven't received those SMSs, my lord. Thank you.
I received another bundle of documents from the state, of which I have not been able to read them. I can see also the email was sent last night at 2300 hours, of which I was not told not to sleep and wait for this email. Unfortunately, I couldn't read it overnight. As a result, my lord, I would like to place it on record that this is a trial by ambush, my lord. Yesterday I had...
I'll say this slowly so that it will be understood.
There are pages that are missing. And my lord, what is very bad in this trial is that the state is dishonest with this court.
Those are records that are relevant. I'm in possession of the 205s for Kelly Kuman. And the state, I'm going to show the state that there was no such a communication. That is direct evidence. I'm not sucking a thumb to say I'm looking for the number for Ntuli, for Mapisa, for whoever. I've got the records for Kelly Kuman on the date of when SENZO was killed. They're busy with 2018, 2021. We are not really interested. That's not our defense.
That is the first thing. And secondly, my lord, I hear the submissions of Mr. Mbekezeli, but
I must respond to what Mr. said. I just wanted to say that is not correct. When we spoke...
When he says you consulted, he's not correct.
I did not consult.
Okay, fine.
Whatever information that comes after a full disclosure, after the trial has commenced, it's ambush.
You are saying I'm a cheat for the serious reasons. I'm concluding. I've taken an oath, if you don't know it, to administer the laws and the constitution without fear, favor, or prejudice, and in the best of our abilities. I don't know, Mr. Following on a bar of salt.
Have you not heard when I mentioned 4629 with the time?
Another challenge, ma'am, is you're talking low. Kulmela pants.
You are speaking very low.
What?
But let's talk about it in the comment section down below. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to like, to comment, to subscribe. Comment section is open to the general public for a limited time. But don't forget, at any time I can pull the plug, so don't be left out. Make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and also don't forget, I also have merch, t-shirt with some of the phrases that I used. I digress. All these things. You know what? I also have time to design. So if you have a design idea, make sure you drop it in the comment section. I am going to be working throughout the holidays. But guess what? I'm also subscribing back to Netflix. Netflix subscription. I'm going to go back in because I had to cancel it, guys. I did not have time to watch anymore with the Malanga, with the ad hoc, with the SENZO MEYIWA. It was a lot. But I'm going back home. I have been watching Apple TV, though. I couldn't cancel that one because Apple TV is a package with your storage and done and everything. So it survived the cut. And I've been watching Invasion. Man, am I hooked. If you need suggestions of something to watch during the holidays, you've got Apple TV. Check out Invasion. Also, share with me what I should watch as well. I appreciate you. I'll catch you on the next one. Remember to like, to comment, to subscribe. If you're watching from outside the club, today's a good day to join us. Bye.